order. Commissioner Banks, if you want to have and lead us.
Father, once again, we're assembled to give you thanks and to give you praise and to lift up your name. We continue to ask that you watch over us and keep our families safe from hurt, harm, and danger, and bless this commission. I ask this in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're picking up at 304.3 premises identification. Building shall have approved address numbers placed in a position to be plainly legible and visible from the street or road fronting the property. These numbers shall contrast with their background. Address numbers shall be Arabic numerals or alphabet and letters. Numbers shall be not less than 4 inches in height and with a minimum stroke width of 0.5 inch. Structural members shall be maintained free from deterioration and shall be capable of safely supporting the imposed dead and live loads. Foundation walls shall be maintained plumb and free from open cracks and breaks and shall be kept in such condition as to prevent the entry of rodents and other pests. Exterior walls shall be free from holes, breaks, and loose or rotting materials and maintained weatherproof and properly surface coated where required to prevent deterioration. Roofs and drainage. The roof and flashing shall be sound, tight, and not have defects that emit rain. Roof drainage shall be adequate to prevent dampness or deterioration in the walls or interior portion of the structure. Roof drains, gutters, and downspouts shall be maintained in good repair and free from obstructions. Roof water shall not be discharged in a manner that creates a public nuisance. Just interrupt me if you have an issue.
I think let's just finish this column and then maybe let's just see if anybody has any questions about this.
Okay, decorative features. Cornices, belt courses, corbels, terracotta trim, wall facings, and similar decorative features shall be maintained in good repair with proper anchorage and in a safe condition. Overhang extensions. Overhang extensions including but not limited to canopies, marquees, signs, metal awnings, fire escapes, standpipes, and exhaust ducts shall be maintained in good repair and be properly anchored so as to be kept in a sound condition. Where required, all exposed surfaces of metal or wood shall be protected from the elements and against decay or rust by periodic application of weather coating materials such as paint or similar surface treatment. Stairways, decks, porches, and balconies. Every exterior stairway, deck, porch, and balcony, and all appurtenances attached thereto shall be maintained structurally sound in good repair with proper anchorage and capable of supporting the imposed loads. Chimneys and towers. Chimneys, cooling towers, smokestacks, and similar appurtenances shall be maintained structurally safe and sound and in good repair. Exposed surfaces of metal or wood shall be protected from the elements and against decay or rust by periodic application of weather coating materials such as paint or similar surface treatment.
Okay. Let's just stop there real fast and see if anybody have any, is there any questions, any input on this?
Now, yeah, I got a question on this about the drainage of your roof.
Yes, sir.
Now, the inspector passes all that, but he comes out to do the final, don't he, on your property?
Well, if you have an inspection, this would be if we notice that, if we notice there's a problem with the roof, we can ask the building official. He would make that inspection.
I think this is for a new roof, they actually come out and they inspect.
Yeah,
But
when a
after
new
the
roof is
fact,
on.
After the fact,
Like
there's
right
no
now,
reason for them
you know,
to.
after,
So we deal with that one, like,
after it's been bugged,
Oh.
they
Yeah.
say, hey, everything's good.
okay.
This would be, we know there's an empty building, the rain's coming in, they'd be in violation.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Mayor,
I
I
think
think
that's.
that's question.
Okay.
Okay, back up on 304.3 premises identification. There's the last sentence, the little part about not less than 4 inches, which, is that standard now, Pam? Then what is this minimum stroke width?
I think it's the Pam, wouldn't that be how wide it is, how, so that you can, it can't be like fine point.
The thickness of
It's the
the,
thickness, so it
letter
can't be
number.
fine point.
Thickness, and then, okay, maybe it just, somehow that seems a little, seems like it could be more plain language.
And we can
somehow.
put that, we can put
That-
thickness.
People could grasp a little more readily. And then I'm just really glad to see 304.6, the part where it says exterior walls shall be free from holes, breaks, loose or rotting materials. Because we have a lot of that around here that I think has really contributed to the deterioration of buildings. So that seems to be a key one for us. And that's really all I have about that column.
Okay.
continue. Handrails and guards. Every handrail and guard shall be firmly fastened and capable of supporting normally imposed loads and shall be maintained in good condition. Window, skylight, and door frames. Every window, skylight, door, and frame shall be kept in sound condition, good repair, and weather tight. Glazing. Glazing material shall be maintained free from cracks and holes. Openable windows. Every window, other than a fixed window, shall be easily openable and capable of being held in position by window hardware. Insect screens. During the period from, we need to determine the dates, every door, window, and other outside opening required for ventilation of habitable rooms, food preparation areas, food service areas, or any areas where products to be included or utilized in food for human consumption are processed, manufactured, packaged, or stored, shall be supplied with approved tight-fitting screens of minimum 16 mesh per inch. And every screen door used for insect control shall have a self-closing device in good working condition. Exception, screens shall not be required where other approved means such as air curtains or insect repellent fans are employed. Doors. Exterior doors, door assemblies, operator systems if approved, and hardware shall be maintained in good condition. Locks at all entrances to dwelling units and sleeping units shall tightly secure the door. Locks on means of egress doors shall be in accordance with sections 702.3. Basement hatchways. Every basement hatchway shall be maintained to prevent the entrance of rodents, rain, and surface drainage water. Guards for basement windows. Every basement window shall be openable, that is openable, shall be supplied with rodent shields, storm windows, or other approved protection against the entry of rodents. Building security. Doors, windows, or hatchways for dwelling units, room units, or housekeeping units shall be provided with devices designed to provide security for the occupants and property within. Doors. Doors providing access to a dwelling unit, rooming unit, or housekeeping unit that is rented, leased, or let shall be equipped with a deadbolt lock designed to be readily openable from the side from which egress is to be made without the need for keys, special knowledge, or effort, and shall be a minimum lock throw of 1 inch. Such deadbolt locks shall be installed according to the manufacturer's specifications and maintained in good working order. For the purposes of this section, a sliding bolt shall not be considered an acceptable deadbolt lock.
Okay, let's go back to the screens. Openable windows, let's start, if I've got a question there. So we've got a lot of our old homes, mine included, now we're replacing all of our windows, but all of our windows, because they're over 100 years old, they don't open any longer. And
The ropes are broken,
No, they're not roped, they have, they're sealed shut.
painted shut.
They're painted shut, they're glazed shut, and I know other people that we've talked about it, and they have that same situation.
Would that be considered then, if it's not a fixed window,
Well,
if it's sealed shut?
I just wondered,
Mine are sealed shut.
yours are sealed shut?
No, but most of mine can be open. I have 2 that are actually sealed shut.
Okay, mine are not sealed,
Okay.
mine are just, you can't get them up, I mean, you can't get them
Mine
up,
are
you can't,
definitely-
mine open out, so all of mine, they're the open out ones, but you
Mine are
can't even open them, you
sealed
can't even
shut.
open them.
How
So-
your alarm system is in your house?
2 dogs.
The dogs?
Oh, I don't worry about the alarm system because I know mine got those alarms
Oh, the alarms on them?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, if somebody, if it's broken, it's gonna go off and Jackie will be calling.
Well, I have all those metal grids, so all of mine have metal grids, so if you can climb through that, you know, you're not gonna climb through it. But I just wonder if we need to make an exception there if for some reason, some of these homes, just something to think about. And then also, I think that insect screens, that's a preference. I would think that would be a personal preference of the person living there, whether or not they want to put a screen on their window.
Well, you know, they say down here, screen shall not be required where other approved means, such as air curtains or insect repellent fans are employed. I don't know exactly what insect repellent fans are, but, and I don't know really what air curtains are, but,
I do.
yeah.
Mayor, I have a comment about those two issues also. I think these are really not, I mean, these are more applicable to places that don't typically have air conditioning. I don't really see that it matters that people's windows open or don't. I think the real issue is ventilation. And of course, I mean, for example, the section about insect screens, and they're specifying a date. Florida has insects all year round, for one thing. But to me, I think it's more, as you say, it's more your personal preference. I mean, it seems to me that if you have a house where you don't have anything but natural ventilation, that maybe you should be required to have some screens in your bedroom or your kitchen. Certainly if it's a rental house, but to me, these two things don't really apply to our situation. It just seems like windows and screens should be in good repair.
Well, and I think that was, you know, I'm more concerned that they don't have broken, you know, the windows aren't broken out,
We
they're
could
not
scratch,
boarded up, they're not boarded up.
Let me
they're-
ask one other
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
And there's another
Is this
section
just
about that.
concerning homes? I mean, because it also says,
Where food preparation.
restaurants, they have to
Yeah.
have screen doors and so forth.
so as far as I'm concerned, if I'm eating in a restaurant, okay, I don't wanna eat bugs, and I don't wanna eat flies, and I don't want flies around me when I'm eating.
And I agree with that.
Okay, so this whole thing, it doesn't really specify, I mean, I think it kind of specifies, somewhat where food preparation areas, food service areas, any areas where products to be included or utilized in food for human consumption are processed, manufactured, factory, or I think that it kind of has to stay for that.
Yeah.
But if you don't want it to stay for houses and people don't mind their houses being full of stuff,
We could
more
scratch
power to 'em.
habitable rooms, so it just said, required for food preparation areas, food service areas, or other areas where products be included for human consumption, processed, manufactured. That's more the commercial aspect.
Yeah, and I think we need that.
And that's what, this isn't about ventilation, this is about keeping insects out, that's what it talks about, so. Yes, Commissioner DeVito?
So aren't restaurants, don't they have their own set of regulations with DVPR?
I'm sure they do.
Do we really need to?
No, but you have, like, you have the women's club, you have different other places that might be preparing food as well, that are not, you know,
I think they're governed too.
well, they're not a restaurant.
I think they're governed by the Department of Health. I mean, basically, according to this,
All right, so
Baja,
just take the whole thing out. Let's
but
stop.
Baja Taco wouldn't be able to operate.
It's not worth it. It's
I
not
don't
worth
think
the
they have
bother.
screens.
Well, my concern would be if someone's porch screens are torn
Yeah.
out, that we make sure they get the porch screen, and that's pretty obvious. And
Maybe we put something that they're in,
I don't know if
good
it's
repair,
somewhere else.
Right, well, that's what I just
Everything's
said.
in
They
good-
should just
in-
be good repair.
in good repair,
You have to be good.
maintained.
Maintained in good repair instead of this is .14.
Right, well, and my other question is, you know, we have on the books right now, we're subject to several codes. What are the standards that apply right now? I don't know what they are. we might already have standards that apply for screens. I have no idea.
Do you want to
Okay.
strike openable windows, the 13.2, 304.13.2? Leave the rest of that glazing and in good
Yeah,
condition.
because you want your glazing to be in good repair, because that comes into the cracks and holes that you get from that.
We could strike 304.13.2, because there are a lot
Yeah.
of, my old house, I had, most of the ropes were broken on the
Yeah,
double hung windows.
And then there's the issue about, I know Commissioner Banks has asked about this a number of times. Sometimes windows have to be boarded up. You know, do we want to speak to that?
That's a vacant home though, correct?
Well, sometimes it's hurricane boarding or hurricane damage.
do
It might
we
be
have
handled
that
somewhere
in
else.
here, is that in here somewhere else where we, about the boarding up? Because I think if we, like if somebody throws a ball through your window, and right now you're gonna have a hard time getting that repaired in a timely fashion, maybe we just have a certain, amount of days that, you know, that you can have that boarded up. So, but I thought it was somewhere else in here.
I thought I saw something else on windows also,
Yeah, me
but I'm
too.
not sure where I saw it.
Just gonna make a note that if it's not there, that that's something that we just need to talk about. Okay. Okay. Anything else on this section?
Okay, where did we stop? Did
At
we
the
stop
very end.
windows, or did we go through doors?
We went
Through doors.
down to
Um,
doors.
Okay, there's something in here in 3.0415, let's see. Locks at all entrances to dwelling units and sleeping units shall tightly secure the door. So, I mean, if it's a single family home, we're gonna tell people what kind of locks they have to have in their sleeping units?
It's not for the bedrooms, the sleeping unit, I interpret as like a motel.
Yeah,
Those doors have to be lockable.
because
Oh,
it's an
got it.
exterior door there, I think that
Yeah.
they're referring to.
Got it. And did we do 304.18? I've read this, so I can't, I've got it marked already.
Well, let me ask you, don't the inspector come inspect the home for the specification, don't they? Like it's supposed to be?
Only if you've had some kind of work done that required a permit. But if just ongoingly, you know, if we,
So we talk, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Charles, we talking about old homes here,
all homes, so for instance, the locking
All
door,
buildings.
if, the example, I thought it was the motel or any other structure, we realize that the door is not locking properly.
right,
This gives us a means to contact them and say, you don't have a good lock on your door, you need to change it, you're in violation of the maintenance standards, because it's not safe for the occupant or,
okay, now that's for motel, right?
well, for anything, if we,
Well, how we gonna control that? All these houses around Crescent,
well, we won't control, it'll be more of a, either complaint driven.
Yeah,
If someone complains to us, like, hey, that building doesn't lock, or, if we happen to notice in our, you know, maybe Pam's there for something else, and realizes, you know, your door doesn't actually lock or lock properly, we can just notify them. It just kind of provides that, particularly if you're a tenant and your landlord is not putting you a proper lock on your door.
I mean, I went by a house just the other day on North Prospect. You know where Juan is, he's got the yellow house, the house to the right, if you're looking, west, that.
next to
small
the
house. Yeah.
little, okay, the
Next
one
to
they've
the
been working
JDA,
on, the
whatever.
one they've been working on?
Yeah, we went through by there the other day and the door was wide open, and of course, there's not been anybody there.
Yeah, he's,
So, you know, we said on our way back, right, because I was riding my bike, on our way back, I'll take another look, and someone had come and closed it at that point. But, you know, the question would be, if it wasn't closed, I probably would have called somebody to report that, because something, it's not right,
yeah.
okay?
And then we would check it, and we
Yeah.
could say, hey, you don't have
Yeah,
a bad lock on your door, you need to replace that.
and
Somebody
somebody's
can
got
get
it
in.
in and they're sleeping.
oh, okay, well, I just don't want us to get too technical.
Yeah.
We can.
Well, you get technical, but that doesn't mean you can get to the point
Okay, windows, operable windows located in whole or in part within 6 feet above ground level or a walking surface below that provides access to a dwelling unit, rooming unit, or housekeeping unit that is rented, leased, or let shall be equipped with a window sash locking device. Basement hatchways that provide access to a dwelling unit, rooming unit, or housekeeping unit that is rented, leased, or let shall be equipped with devices that secure the units from unauthorized entry. And gates, exterior gates, gate assemblies, operator systems if provided, and hardware shall be maintained in good condition. Latches at all entrances shall tightly secure the gates. Section 305, interior structure. General, the interior of a structure and equipment therein shall be maintained in good repair, structurally sound, and in sanitary condition. Occupants shall keep that part of their structure that they occupy or control in clean and sanitary condition. Every owner of a structure containing a rooming house, housekeeping units, a hotel, a dormitory, 2 or more dwelling units, or 2 or more non-residential occupancies shall maintain in a clean and sanitary condition the shared or public areas of the structure and exterior property. Unsafe conditions. The following conditions shall be determined as unsafe and shall be repaired or replaced to comply with the International Building Code or the International Existing Building Code as required for existing buildings. The nominal strength of any structure member is exceeded by nominal loads, the load effects, or the required strength. The anchorage of the floor or roof to walls or columns, and of walls and columns to foundations is not capable of resisting all nominal loads or load effects. Structures and components thereof that have reached their limit state. Structural members are incapable of supporting nominal loads and load effects. Stairs, landings, balconies, and all similar walking surfaces, including guards and handrails, are not structurally sound, not properly anchored, or are anchored with connections not capable of supporting all nominal loads and resisting all load effects. Foundation systems that are not firmly supported by footings, are not plumb and free from open cracks and breaks, are not properly anchored, or are not capable of supporting all nominal loads and resisting all load effects. Exceptions where substantiated otherwise by an approved method, and demolition of unsafe conditions shall be permitted where approved by the code official. Structural members.
You want to stop on that one, just to see if there's any questions before we move on to the 305. Anybody has any questions on this?
Yes, the demolition part about the demolition and the code official, I think, doesn't that have to follow our due process?
That code official would be the building official, would sign the demolition permit, so.
I didn't think they could just do that.
I think they can if it's unsafe and if somebody can get in there and fall through the, let's say it's a second story or fall through anything and hurt themselves or, if it's unsafe, it's unsafe, and of course it's up to the code.
I don't think this is saying that we'll just do it. I think it's saying that the property owner can demolish the unsafe condition,
Yeah.
but they need a permit to do it.
I wonder if
Oh, I
up
see
here,
what you mean.
I wonder if here, Charles, shall be repaired or replaced to comply with the International Building Code or the International. I wonder if we should put, if it should be, Pam, should we put in there Florida Building Code? Should we have this mirror something with Florida Building Code?
We already have the Florida building.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, should we use
Should the
that?
text say that?
Should
instead
the
of
text say
international?
that rather than international?
You ain't heard it, right?
Yeah, I think people will understand that,
Florida.
yeah,
Okay.
okay?
All right, structural members. Structural members shall be maintained structurally sound and be capable of supporting the imposed loads. Interior surfaces. Interior surfaces, including windows and doors, shall be maintained in good, clean, and sanitary condition. Peeling, chipping, flaking, or abraded paint shall be repaired, removed, and covered. Cracked or loose plaster, decayed wood, and other defective surface conditions shall be corrected. Stairs and walking surfaces. Every stair, ramp, landing, balcony, porch, deck, or other walking surface shall be maintained in good condition, in sound condition, and good repair. Handrails and guards. Every handrail and guard shall be firmly fastened and capable of supporting nominally imposed loads, and shall be maintained in good condition. interior doors. Every interior door shall fit reasonably well within its frame and shall be capable of being opened and closed by being properly and securely attached to jambs, headers, or tracks as intended by the manufacturer or the attachment hardware, of the attachment hardware. Any questions on that?
And again, this is gonna be something that's gonna come to us, I think we need to, we're not gonna be going through homes.
These will be
Checking
reported.
on these will be things that will be reported to us.
Section 306, component serviceability, general. The components of a structure and equipment therein shall be maintained in good repair, structurally sound, and in a sanitary condition. Unsafe conditions. Where any of the following conditions cause the component or system to be beyond its limit state, the component or system shall be determined as unsafe and shall be repaired or replaced to comply with the International Building Code or the International Existing Building Code as required for existing buildings. Soils that have been subjected to any of the following conditions: collapse of footing or foundation system, damage to footing, foundation, concrete, or other structural element due to soil expansion, adverse effects to the design strength of footing, foundation, concrete, or other structural element due to chemical reaction from the soil, inadequate soil as determined by a geotechnical investigation, where the allowable bearing capacity of the soil is in doubt, adverse effects to the footing, foundation, concrete, or other structural element due to the groundwater table. 2, concrete that has been subjected to any of the following conditions: deterioration, ultimate deformation, fractures, fissures, spalling, exposed reinforcement, detached, dislodged, or failing connections. 3, aluminum that has been subjected to any of the following conditions: deterioration, corrosion, elastic deformation, ultimate deformation, stress or strain cracks, joint fatigue, detached, dislodged, or failing connections. Masonry that has been subjected to any of the following conditions: deterioration, ultimate deformation, fractures in masonry or mortar joints, fissures in masonry or mortar joints, spalling, exposed reinforcement, detached, dislodged, or failing connections. Steel that has been subjected to any of the following conditions: deterioration, elastic deformation, ultimate deformation, metal fatigue, detached, dislodged, or failing connections. Wood that has been subjected to any of the following conditions: ultimate deformation, deterioration, damage from insects, rodents, and other vermin, fire damage beyond charring, significant splits and checks, horizontal shear cracks, vertical shear cracks, inadequate support, detached, dislodged, or failing connections, excessive cutting and notching. Exceptions: where substantiated otherwise by an approved method, demolition of unsafe conditions shall be permitted where approved by the code official.
Okay, do we have any questions on this? Input?
Okay, Section 307, handrails and guardrails. General, every exterior and interior flight of stairs having more than 4 risers shall have a handrail on one side of the stair. Every open portion of a stair, landing, balcony, porch, deck, ramp, or other walking surface that is more than 30 inches above the floor or grade shall have guards. Handrails should not be less than 30 inches in height or more than 42 inches in height measured vertically above the nosing of the tread or above the finished floor of the landing or walking surfaces. Guards shall be not less than 30 inches in height above the floor of the landing, balcony, porch, deck, or ramp or other walking surface. Exception: guards shall not be required or exempted by the adopted building code. 308, rubbish and garbage. Accumulation of rubbish or garbage. Exterior property and premises and the interior of every structure shall be free from an accumulation of rubbish or garbage. Disposal of rubbish. Every occupant of a structure shall dispose of all rubbish in a clean and sanitary manner by placing such rubbish in approved containers. Rubbish storage facilities. The owner of every occupied premises shall supply approved covered containers for rubbish, and the owner of the premises shall be responsible for the removal of rubbish. Refrigerators. Refrigerators and similar equipment not in operation shall not be discarded, abandoned, or stored on premises without first removing the doors. Disposal of garbage. Every occupant of a structure shall dispose of garbage in a clean and sanitary manner by placing such garbage in an approved garbage disposal facility or approved garbage containers. Garbage facilities. The owner of every dwelling shall supply one of the following: an approved mechanical food waste grinder in each dwelling unit, an approved incinerator unit, each structural available in the structure available to the occupants in each dwelling unit, or an approved leak-proof covered outside garbage container. Containers. The operator of every establishment producing garbage shall provide, and at all times cause to be utilized, approved leak-proof containers provided with close-fitting covers for the storage of such materials until removed from the premises for disposal.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Oh, sorry, I had a couple of issues.
So you gotta have good trash cans, it says.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it says more than that, and I think there's a problem. First of all, we already have an ordinance on garbage, so I think it should cross-reference it. I don't think you need to repeat what we already have. And as well, in 308.3.1, this actually says you don't have to have a garbage can. It says you could substitute a garbage disposal or an incinerator. And I don't think that fits with what we do here.
No, we
No,
would
it
probably
says
have
that.
to take that, the approved incinerator unit, you'd probably wanna take that out.
Well, but as well, a garbage disposal cannot deal with all your, I mean, to me, this little part of it, disposal of garbage, we already have an ordinance. I think it should just cross-reference it and say, you know, properly
I think we're
dispose of the
gonna-
garbage.
Yeah, I think
Let's
we're gonna
say
have to work on this anyway, because with our new garbage, with our new
What says you have to
garbage
have a
code.
can?
Yeah, you have to.
But
Yeah.
but
Right,
the
so
can
that-
provide a grinder or disposal incinerator unit or a container, but you do have to have a container. 33.2, every operator shall provide,
Outside garbage container.
yeah.
It says
So
every establishment starts with the Crescent closed code. Well, I just don't see that we want to give people the ability to burn garbage.
Well, and I saw that too, and think that we probably do wanna just strike out that incinerator unit.
Because you have
Yeah,
people.
cause you'll have people wanting to burn their
Burn
garbage,
their
they're not allowed to do that anyway, so.
Right. I was gonna say, I don't know, there must be some jurisdiction somewhere where burning is the best, but I don't think it's here.
Well, a lot of times in the county, you'll have a lot of times in the county, in different areas, they'll do that. A lot of agricultural, they'll do that. They'll burn.
Yeah, people have burn down.
Yeah, they'll burn.
I don't,
I've
I think
had-
this is city.
You know, we talked about this too, Charles, that we need to put something in here about people that just leave their waste on the side of right in front of their house for an extended period of time, if it's not something approved by Waste Pro that they'll pick up. Waste Pro has certain, specifications, especially for their yard waste. Commercial buildings, yard waste is another big issue, when they're leaving their yard waste out there for months on end, and they haven't, because Waste Pro they don't have that
It's too
agreement
big.
with them, it's too big.
or it's big.
We've picked up, that's what we did the first of the week before the hurricane, and a good portion of that was from, commercial buildings that didn't have it, or vacant lots that also do not have any type of, an agreement with Waste Pro to pick that up, and so they just think if they put it out in the front of the yard, that it's gonna be taken care of.
Yeah, but
Well,
I
I
think,
think-
oh, I'm sorry, Harry.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Commissioner
Okay.
Banks.
I think that's already in our code, because I think Pam issues violations for, for vacant lots that have stuff piled up, and I think our current code does say that you can't leave your stuff out there.
I just wanna make sure that
Yes.
that we're strong about that, because there's a lot of debris out there, that unnecessary, yes, sir.
But man, just like I was talking about down there, and I use that, on Prospect Street, not too far down from you,
Mhm.
the power started out small,
Right.
and Waste Pro kept on coming back till it got large.
Mhm.
So, Now, how do you react in situations like that? You can't hardly find no, cause something is in our code now that how big the power got to be, I think. Not in that kind of language, but I think that's what it meant. But sometimes when it's fail, quite a few places in town now, I can show you where they fail. On Central Avenue, they failed to move it. Man started out with a nice little neat tile. And the waste pro just comes right by.
Got one down here.
And that's why, yeah, that's the place one of the places I was talking about.
Now, Waste Pro also though has certain, standards, I mean, it's gotta be cut up to be certain lengths, it's gotta be cut up, they're not just gonna pick up trees and throw them back in the trucks.
We're speculating on that one, they may think that's commercial. That's actually a residence, but it's in the commercial district.
But I went as far as got my tape measure and measured some of these pilots, so the ball falls on Waste Pro. Oh, they should have picked it up.
They should have,
Yeah,
and
but sometimes, I reckon it be such a hurry, got so much, so sometimes it can go by, but to go by it for 3 or 4 months is.
It's bad.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's inexcusable.
So I think what we can do, if you look at 308.3, it just says, every occupant of a structure shall dispose of their garbage, placing such garbage in an approved garbage disposal facility or approved garbage container. I think we could strike approved disposal facility and just have it say, placing such garbage in an approved garbage containers, and then scratch out 3.1 and just have definition of containers, which is what we have now. We have a new approved 96-gallon container, so that would be the approved container. We don't need the garbage facilities because we've eliminated a grinder and an incinerator. The average resident or business just has trash cans. So I think we could modify 308.3 by placing such garbage in approved garbage containers.
Well, Charles, I really think we need to cross-reference our current code, because that's where most of the requirements about putting out your trash are. So if you look at that and then you cross-reference it, I think it'll cover it. But, yeah, people can have garbage disposal if they want, but
we can do
I
that.
don't think we need to nitpick whether or not they have garbage disposal.
My aunt here is here right now from California, and she was sharing with me, they just put in place that you have to compost.
Yeah.
Yep, and you have to put your compost in your recyclable bins. So all your compost goes into your just a mess, just a mess. So glad we're not doing that.
Actually, if I could just say one thing, since you brought up compost, some places that you visit, they really cut down on their garbage bills and how much garbage is picked up because their landfills are full. You get charged like by the cubic foot to encourage you to compost and recycle and reuse and all that kind of stuff.
We stayed at a friend's apartment in San Francisco
Yeah.
last trip, and then under his sink had 6 containers, depending on what the garbage was. You separated your garbage, paper,
Yeah.
metal, glass, organic. You really had to stop and read everything and figure out where to put your waste.
Right, so it can be a lot
To do
different.
compost too.
309, pest elimination, infestation. Structures shall be kept free from insect and rodent infestation. Structures in which insects or rodents are found shall be promptly exterminated by approved processes that will not be injurious to human health. After pest elimination, proper precautions shall be taken to prevent reinfestation. Owner. The owner of any structure shall be responsible for pest elimination within the structure prior to renting or leasing the structure. Single occupant. The occupant of a one-family dwelling or a single-tenant residential structure shall be responsible for pest elimination on the premises. Multiple occupancy. The owner of a structure containing 2 or more dwelling units, a multiple occupancy, a rooming house, or a non-residential structure shall be responsible for pest elimination in the public or shared areas of the structure and exterior property. If infestation is caused by failure of an occupant to prevent such infestation in the area occupied, the occupant and owner shall be responsible for pest elimination. Occupant. The occupant of any structure shall be responsible for the continued rodent and pest-free condition of the structure. Exception, where the infestations are caused by defects in the structure, the owner shall be responsible for pest elimination.
Questions?
Speaking on, now, you know, I think these apartment places kind of strict on that, and real strict about when individuals moving in and bring their pets along with them. And I call Crescent, I'm talking about roaches.
Yeah.
I'm talking about dog. I'm talking about roaches, they bring them in there, but they, periodically go in and check. But then they got pest control.
And mandatory pest control.
Yeah, got pest control
That's
turned
good.
on every quarter or something like that, and spraying in the unit.
Well, I'm just glad it says infestation and not just that they have to be free from pests, because this is Florida, so
Yeah.
it's clear it says infestation.
Chapter 4, light, ventilation, and occupancy limitations. Chapter 4 sets forth requirements to establish the minimum environment of occupiable and habitable buildings by establishing the minimum criteria for light and ventilation and identifying occupancy limitations, including minimum room width and area, minimum ceiling height, and restrictions to prevent overcrowding. Section 401, general scope. The provisions of this chapter shall govern the minimum conditions and standards for light, ventilation, and space for occupying the structure. Responsibility. Owner of the structure shall provide and maintain light, ventilation, and space conditions in compliance with these requirements. A person shall not occupy as owner occupant or permit another person to occupy any premises that do not comply with the requirements of this chapter. Alternative devices. In lieu of the means for natural light and ventilation herein prescribed, artificial light or mechanical ventilation comply with the International Building Code shall be permitted. So we see Florida Building Code?
Yeah, I think that would cover still the international, because we don't know what.
Right, well, we have a code that says what building codes apply, it's in chapter 6. There's a whole
Section-
bunch of codes, all right.
Section 402, light, habitable spaces. Every habitable space shall have not less than one window or approved size facing directly to the outdoors or to a court. The minimum total glazed area for every habitable space shall be 8% of the floor area of such room. Wherever walls or other portions of the structure face a window of any room, and such obstructions are located less than 4 feet from the window and extend to a level above that of the ceiling of the room, such window shall not be deemed to face directly to the outdoors nor to a court, and shall not be included as contributing to the required minimum total window area for the room. Exception, where natural light for rooms or spaces without exterior glazing areas is provided through an adjoining room, the unobstructed opening to the adjoining room shall be not less than 8% of the floor area of the interior room space, or not less than 25 square feet, whichever is greater. The exterior glazing area shall be based on the total floor area being served. Common halls and stairways. Every common hall and stairway in residential occupancies, other than in 1 and 2 family dwellings, shall be lighted at all times with not less than 60-watt standard incandescent light bulb for each 200 square feet of floor area or equivalent illumination, provided that the spacing between lights shall not be greater than 30 feet. In other than residential occupancies, interior and exterior means of egress stairways shall be illuminated at all times. The building space served by the means of egress is occupied with not less than 1 foot candle at floors, landings, and treads. Other spaces shall be provided with natural or artificial light sufficient to permit the maintenance of sanitary conditions and the safe occupancy of the space and utilization of appliances, equipment, and fixtures.
Okay, do you have any questions?
I get the feeling this is for like tenement housing things where you go in and it looks awful and it's like a cave.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I have no idea what this means. I mean, with all the measurements and
Yeah.
whatever. So maybe we would want to have someone check into that for us. I don't know.
Well, you can imagine someone trying to rent a room with no windows, somebody living in there,
Yeah.
they don't know any better, you know.
Well, and my understanding, I believe that you, in order to rent a room, you have to have 2 entrances and a window.
Yeah, this is setting
Yeah.
the minimum
So I
windows.
think that's already, I mean, I think we already have that, we have that window.
Ventilation, habitable spaces, every habitable space shall have not less than one openable window. The total openable area of the window in every room shall be equal to not less than 45% of the minimum glazed area required in section 402.1. Exception, where rooms and spaces without openings to the outdoors are ventilated to an adjoining room, the unobstructed opening to the adjoining room shall be not less than 8% of the floor area of the interior room or space, but not less than 25 square feet. The ventilation openings to the outdoors shall be based on a total floor area being ventilated. Bathrooms and toilets, every bathroom and toilet room shall comply with the ventilation requirements for habitable spaces as required by section 403.1. Except that a window shall not be required in such spaces equipped with a mechanical ventilation system. Air exhausted by a mechanical ventilation system from a bathroom or toilet room shall discharge to the outdoors and shall not be recirculated. Cooking facilities, unless approved with a certificate of occupancy, cooking shall not be permitted in any rooming unit or dormitory unit, and a cooking facility or appliance shall not be permitted to be present in a rooming unit or dormitory unit. Exception, where specifically approved in writing by the code official, and devices such as coffee pots and microwave ovens shall not be considered cooking appliances.
Okay.
Process ventilation, where injurious, toxic, irritating, or noxious fumes, gases, dust, or mists are generated, a local exhaust ventilation system shall be provided to remove the contaminating agent at the source. Air shall be exhausted to the exterior and not be recirculated to the space. Clothes dryer exhaust. Clothes dryer exhaust systems shall be independent from all other systems and shall be exhausted outside the structure in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Exception listed and labeled condensing ductless clothes dryers. Occupancy limitations.
Right, I have a question here. Go back up to 403, very first one, 403 ventilation, 403.1, where it says every habitable space shall have not less than one openable window. Habitable space in the definitions is a room, I think. Space in a structure for living. Bathrooms, toilet rooms, closets, and similar areas. Okay, right, it's a room because it says bathroom, closet, hall, storage, or utility are not habitable spaces.
Correct.
But, okay, so we're saying here that each habitable space, a room for sleeping, eating, cooking, or living, has to have an openable window.
Yes.
Didn't we just say that there's
It
problems
goes
with
back to
windows that don't
with
open?
us, with the openable,
The kitchen
Let's
window
have-
doesn't open.
no.
There you're out of compliance. Pam?
Go ahead, break me up, Pam.
Send her on.
Get these things fixed.
Well, I'm trying. Now he's telling me, who knows now when I'll get my windows now.
I'm just saying, not everybody has windows that open.
I wonder if it should be the total, that you should have, that there should be a window. Because I think you have to have, Pam, is that correct by the building code that you have to have a window in every habitable room?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, if
So it doesn't
you know,
say
if you're living in a house that you cannot open windows. You know, I lived in St. Petersburg, and for the longest time, people had these bars on their windows because of crime.
Yeah.
And after 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, when they had a fire, they couldn't get out because they couldn't get out of their windows. Died. Then all the bars came down. But I mean, you know, I don't understand people that don't have windows, that don't open.
I know, I
So
question
anyway, I don't
myself.
understand you.
I question myself, but,
You're
you
like
know.
me.
That's a-
Hey,
it's a
it was
very-
that way when we bought
You have
it.
to be careful.
Probably a
Yeah.
fire regulation, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think it might be.
The room has to have an openable window.
There's a difference between bars and windows that open.
Windows that don't open, you may as well put bars on. That's all I'm trying to say. If you can't open your window to get out,
I will.
and you got a fire coming through, you're, well, I'll tell you what, you're in trouble.
I'd kick it out, right now they're in the shape that I could just really, I could easily kick them out, yeah, so.
I hope so.
Okay, 404, occupancy limitations. Privacy, dwelling units, hotel units, housekeeping units, rooming units, and dormitory units shall be arranged to provide privacy and be separate from other adjoining spaces. Minimum room widths. A habitable room, other than a kitchen, should not be less than 7 feet in any plan dimension. Kitchen shall have a minimum clear passage of 3 feet between counter fronts and appliances or counter fronts and walls. Minimum ceiling heights. Habitable spaces, hallways, corridors, laundry areas, bathrooms, toilet rooms, and habitable basement areas shall have a minimum clear ceiling height of 7 feet. Exceptions. In 1 and 2 family dwellings, beams or girders spaced not less than 4 feet on center and projecting not greater than 6 inches below the required ceiling height. Basement rooms in 1 and 2 family dwelling occupied exclusively for laundry, study, or recreation purposes, having a minimum ceiling height of 6 feet 8 inches with a minimum clear height of 6 feet 4 inches under beams, girders, ducts, or similar obstructions. Rooms occupied exclusively for sleeping, study, or similar purposes and having a sloped ceiling for all or part of the room with a minimum clear ceiling height of 7 feet or not less than 1/3 of the required minimum floor area. In calculating floor area of such rooms, only those portions of the floor area with a minimum clear ceiling height of 5 feet shall be included. That's for those 3/4 story houses that have
Yeah.
a finished attic.
I wonder with some of this, I know we need to go to the bottom, but I'm just wondering with some of this, like with the 3 feet, between counter fronts and appliances and counter fronts and walls, some of our older homes, you know, I would hope they would have that, but, you know, should we grandfather, should some of that, you know, grandfathered in just in case it doesn't? I mean, how would we do that? How would we do that?
Well, I feel like we would only discover it based on a complaint. And Pam, there's probably something in the building code about, that 3 feet is probably an ADA requirement, you think? I know historic homes don't have to retrofit themselves, but
Well, you know,
if we cited somebody for that, I think Pam would have to go to the code board, and then the code board would
Yes.
potentially forgive it if it's, you know, pre-existing condition. I can't see that we would cite somebody, their existing cabinetry and appliances, it's an old house and it's always been 2 3/4 feet.
where I experienced 3-foot hallways was when my mom came back from the hospital and they had to bring her down to her bedroom. And I'll tell you what, that just barely fit down that hallway. It was an awful sight, really. It really was an awful sight. And then not only did she just barely fit down the hallway on the gurney, or whatever you want to call that, getting through her bedroom door presented even another problem. We're not gonna be able to clean all that up.
We've got
It's
a
just
lot
the
of
way it
homes,
is.
my home,
Yeah.
well, you know, I had to
Yeah.
put a door in because none of my doors, I couldn't get certain appliances in the house, so I had to put an exterior door in that was larger because,
But I will say this, I mean, any time that, you know, I mean, all of my doors got bigger, you know, in this
Yeah.
house, everything, when you finally go in to redo something,
Right.
yeah.
you need to do it right.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, that was just an awful.
And the building inspector will require that.
Yeah. Because it's-
If you do any changes to the house, of course, you can do stuff interior that doesn't necessarily require a permit, but anything that requires a permit, he's gonna require that.
Once you start putting bigger, you know, but anyway, just, yeah, you're not gonna clean all that up, there's just no way to do it unless it's turned in. But that minimum 3 feet is even tight, you know, it's tight,
It's, you know.
Yeah.
it's tight.
Bedroom and living room requirements. Every bedroom and living room shall comply with requirements of sections 404.4.1 through 404.4.5. Room area. Every living room shall contain not less than 120 square feet. And every bedroom shall contain not less than 70 square feet. And every bedroom occupied by more than one person shall contain not less than 50 square feet of floor area for each occupant thereof. Access from bedrooms. Bedrooms shall not constitute the only means of access to other bedrooms or habitable spaces and shall not serve as the only means of egress from other habitable spaces. Exception units that contain fewer than 2 bedrooms.
Okay, we've got, I know there's one home for a fact that
You have to go through 1 bedroom.
you have to
get
go
the
from
other
one bedroom to go to the other bedroom, yeah. That, you might run into that in several of these older homes.
And again, that'll only come to our attention if there's been a complaint,
Yeah.
usually probably a tenant.
Well, it
Say it.
just seems to me like this is kind of overreaching. I mean, people can have their bedrooms how they want.
Well, that again, this is for safety reasons as well, though. You know,
But
should
is this,
have all these bedrooms kind of tied together like that, really.
well, I would be interested to know what is actually in the Florida Building Code and what is in the Florida Fire Code. We don't have all this in front of us. Some of this may be overlap. We don't know.
But, you know, I heard mentioned this afternoon about grandfather. It comes to a point
Yeah,
where
yeah, you got the grandson.
some people bought homes back there and they got elderly and they ain't able to go in and make all those corrections. So I don't think we got no business, ain't got no concern bothering with the people. Like a situation like that. Now, new home, okay, they're gonna be discovered when they expect to come.
Right.
Now, when you pull a permit, but the older homes, and we got quite a few older homes in Crescent City.
See, when I bought that old house over there, in order to get to the bathroom upstairs, I had to go through a closet. It was so strange.
I'll check and see if this is in the building
Yeah.
code already. I think it's, and this is in the section on overcrowding. I imagine if we came across a situation where there were
Right.
a
I
lot of
was
families
thinking
living
that
in one
too.
building, we would have some tools to
Yeah.
deal with that. So we'll check and see if that's already coded, covered in the Florida Building Code. Water closet accessibility. Every bedroom shall have access to not less than 1 water closet and 1 lavatory without passing through another bedroom. Every bedroom in the dwelling unit shall have access to not less than 1 water closet and lavatory located in the same story as the bedroom or an occupancy or an adjacent story.
So that means if you have a bedroom upstairs, you have to have a bathroom upstairs.
Or adjacent story.
Or adjacent.
So,
Proceed.
prohibited occupancy, kitchens and non-habitable spaces shall not be used for sleeping purposes. Other requirements, bedrooms shall comply with the applicable provisions of this code, including but not limited to the light, ventilation, room area, ceiling height, and room width required in this chapter. The plumbing facilities and water heating facilities requirements of chapter 5, the heating facilities and electrical receptacle requirements of chapter 6, and the smoke detector and emergency escape requirements of chapter 7. Overcrowding. Dwelling units shall not be occupied by more occupants than permitted by the minimum area requirements of table 404.5.
You know, all these things that they've got written down, trust me, a lot of this stuff has happened, that's why they put it here.
Put it here, right, yeah, it didn't happen, you didn't believe me.
We had that in the city of Groveland. We had 3 or 4 families crowded into one little 2-bedroom place. It was pretty bad. Sleeping area. The minimum occupancy area required by table 404.5 shall not be included as a sleeping area in determining the minimum occupancy area for sleeping purposes. Sleeping areas shall comply with section 404.4. Combined spaces. Combined living room and dining room spaces shall comply with the requirements of table 404.5 if the total area is equal to that required for separate rooms and if the space is located so as to function as a combination living room, dining room. Efficiency unit. Nothing in this section shall prohibit an efficiency living unit from meeting the following requirements. A unit occupied by not more than 1 occupant shall have a minimum clear floor area of 120 square feet. A unit occupied by not more than 2 occupants shall have a minimum clear floor area of 220 square feet. A unit occupied by 3 occupants shall have a minimum clear floor area of 320 square feet. These required areas shall be exclusive of the areas required by items 2 and 3.
These would be considered tiny houses.
The unit shall be provided with a kitchen sink, cooking appliance, and refrigeration facilities, each having a minimum clear working space of 30 inches in front. height and ventilation conforming to this code shall be provided. The unit shall be provided with a separate bathroom containing a water closet, lavatory, and bathtub or shower. The maximum number of occupants shall be 3. Food preparation. Spaces to be occupied for food preparation purposes shall contain suitable space and equipment to store, prepare, and serve foods in a sanitary manner. There shall be adequate facilities and services for the sanitary disposal of food waste and refuse, including facilities for temporary storage.
Okay, do we have any questions on this? Again, I think some of this goes for your rentals.
Yes.
Yeah, this deals with a lot of
Yeah.
bad situations. I think you're right, these were probably developed over the years, like how do we deal with this situation?
Well, yeah, because it's happened
Yeah.
somewhere, it's happened.
Okay, chapter 5, plumbing facilities and fixture requirements. Scope. The provisions of this chapter shall govern the minimum plumbing systems, facilities, and plumbing fixtures to be provided. Responsibility. The owner of the structure shall provide and maintain such plumbing facilities and plumbing fixtures in compliance with these requirements. A person shall not occupy as owner occupant or permit another person to occupy any structure or premises that does not comply with the requirements of this chapter. Required facilities, dwelling units. Every dwelling unit shall contain its own bathtub or shower, lavatory, water closet, and kitchen sink that shall be maintained in a sanitary, safe, working condition. The lavatory shall be placed in the same room as the water closet or located in close proximity to the door leading directly into the room in which such water closet is located. A kitchen sink shall not be used as a substitute for the required lavatory. Rooming houses. Not less than 1 water closet, lavatory, and bathtub or shower shall be supplied for each 4 rooming units. Hotels. Where private water closets, lavatories, and baths are not provided, 1 water closet, 1 lavatory, and 1 bathtub or shower having access from a public hallway shall be provided for each 10 occupants. Employees' facilities. Not less than 1 water closet, 1 lavatory, and 1 drinking facility shall be available to employees. Drinking facilities. Drinking facilities shall be a drinking fountain, water cooler, bottled water cooler, or disposable cups next to a sink or water dispenser. Drinking facilities shall not be located in toilet rooms or bathrooms. Public toilet facilities. Public toilet facilities shall be maintained in a safe, sanitary, and working condition in accordance with the International Plumbing Code. Except for periodic maintenance or cleaning, public access and use shall be provided to the toilet facilities at all times during occupancy of the premises.
Okay, do we have any questions on that? I think, again, this may be international plumbing, let's refer back to Florida. Anybody else have anything on this? Okay, let's go.
503, toilet rooms. Privacy. Toilet rooms and bathrooms shall provide privacy and shall not constitute the only passageway to a hall or other space or to the exterior. A door and interior locking device shall be provided for all common or shared bathrooms and toilet rooms in a multiple dwelling. Location. Toilet rooms and bathrooms serving hotel units, rooming units, or dormitory units, or housekeeping units shall have access by traversing not more than 1 flight of stairs, and shall have access from a common hall or passageway. Location of employee toilet facilities. Toilet facilities shall have access from within the employee's working area. The required toilet facilities shall be located not more than 1 story above or below the employee's working area, and the path of travel to such facilities shall not exceed a distance of 500 feet. Employee facilities shall either be separate facilities or combined employee and public facilities. Exception, facilities that are required for employees in storage structures or kiosks, which are located in adjacent structures under the same ownership, lease, or control, shall not exceed a travel distance of 500 feet from the employee's regular working areas to the facilities. Floor surface. In other than dwelling units, every toilet room floor shall be maintained in a smooth, hard, non-absorbent surface to permit such floor to be easily kept in clean and sanitary condition.
No carpet?
No carpet.
I say, as I'm getting older, that 500 feet seems like 1,000.
Plumbing systems and fixtures, general. Plumbing fixtures shall be properly installed and maintained in working order, and shall be kept free from obstructions, leaks, and defects, and be capable of performing the function for which the plumbing fixtures are designed. Plumbing fixtures shall be maintained in a safe, sanitary, and functional condition. Fixture clearances. Plumbing fixtures shall have adequate clearances for usage and cleaning. Plumbing system hazards. Where it is found that a plumbing system in a structure constitutes a hazard to the occupants or the structure by reason of inadequate service, inadequate venting, cross connection, back siphonage, improper installation, deterioration or damage, or for similar reasons, the code official shall require the defects to be corrected to eliminate the hazard. Water system. Every sink, lavatory, bathtub, or shower, drinking fountain, water closet, or other plumbing fixture shall be properly connected to either a public water system or an approved private water system. Kitchen sinks, lavatories, laundry facilities, bathtubs, and showers shall be supplied with hot or tempered and cold running water in accordance with the International Plumbing Code. Contamination. The water supply shall be maintained free from contamination, and all water inlets for plumbing fixtures shall be located above the flood level rim of the fixture. Shampoo basin faucets, janitor sink faucets, and other hose bibs or faucets to which hoses are attached and left in place shall be protected by an approved atmospheric type vacuum breaker or an approved permanently attached hose connection vacuum breaker. Supply. The water supply system shall be installed and maintained to provide the supply of water to plumbing fixtures, devices, and appurtenances in sufficient volume and pressure, and at pressure adequate to enable the fixture to function properly, safely, and free from defects and leaks. Water heating facilities. Water heating facilities shall be properly installed, maintained, and capable of providing an adequate amount of water to be drawn in every required sink, lavatory, bathtub, shower, and laundry facility at a temperature not less than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. A gas-burning water heater shall not be located in any bathroom, toilet room, bedroom, or other occupied room normally kept closed unless adequate combustion air is provided. An approved combination temperature and pressure relief valve and relief valve discharge pipe shall be properly installed and maintained on water heaters. Non-potable water reuse systems. Non-potable water reuse systems and rainwater collection and conveyance systems shall be maintained in a safe and sanitary condition. Where such systems are not properly maintained, the system shall be repaired to provide for safe and sanitary conditions, or the system shall be abandoned in accordance with sections 505.5.1. Abandonment of systems. Where a non-potable water reuse system or a rainwater collection and distribution system is not maintained, or the owner ceases use of the system shall be abandoned in accordance with section 13.01.10 of the International Plumbing Code. Sanitary drainage system. Plumbing fixtures shall be properly connected to either a public sewer system or an approved private sewage disposal system. Maintenance. Every plumbing stack, vent, waste, and sewer line shall function properly and be kept free from obstructions, leaks, and defects. Grease interceptors. Grease interceptors and automatic grease removal devices shall be maintained in accordance with this code and manufacturer's installation instructions. Grease interceptors and automatic grease removal devices shall be regularly serviced and cleaned to prevent the discharge of oil, grease, and other substances harmful or hazardous to the building drainage system, the public sewer, the private sewage disposal system, or the sewage treatment plant or processes. Records of maintenance, cleaning, and repair shall be available for inspection by the code official. Storm drainage. General drainage of roofs and paved areas, yards and courts, and other open areas on the premises shall not be discharged in a manner that creates a public nuisance.
Do we have any comments on any of this?
I do have a question. It sounds like up in 505.1 that every sink in your house has to have hot water. And does the city have hot water in all its sink facilities?
We do not.
That's
We
what
don't
I
have any
thought.
hot water in this.
Oftentimes you don't do that, especially in a public or a restaurant
Right.
setting, because for liability burn situations.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is like, I mean, I have right now, the hot water is not operable in one of my sinks. And the reason I asked about the city was because it was asked about for years when Patrick Kennedy was here. He didn't want to spend money to install the hot water in some of the sinks here. So I was kind of aware of that. So now we're saying,
We have it in our kitchen though, we do have it, the hot water, we don't have it in the kitchen.
It's in the annex. There's a little water heater in the annex, but not here.
I don't know why I thought I was getting hot water in the kitchen, maybe it's just.
I'm just saying, this is saying that every single facility in your structure, no matter what kind of structure you are, has to have hot water.
Well, it says in accordance with the International Plumbing Code. I'm kind of curious what that code says. It has some exceptions. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, and
This
also
really- yeah.
compare it with our Florida. Go
I
ahead.
don't know if you
Commissioner
really,
Reed.
yeah, I don't really think you'd call it the little room in back, you know, a full-blown kitchen. We don't have a stove back there, we don't, you know.
No, but you know,
It's not a functional kind of
I didn't
whatever.
mean it that way, I was just questioning, I thought we had hot water back there, I wasn't referring.
No, I know, but
That area.
but this refers to a kitchen, is all I'm trying to say, and I wouldn't consider that
So
a kitchen.
lavatory,
Every sink,
laundry, it's
Yeah.
very clear. It,
Yeah.
it says every single one has to have both hot and cold.
laundry facility, bathtub,
Okay,
showers.
let's look that up.
Yeah.
And
International Plumbing Code says. The Florida Building Code.
Would be in violation.
It looks like it's required by Florida.
Florida Building Code.
Any occupied structures, hot water should be supplied to all plumbing fixtures and equipment utilized for bathing, washing, culinary purposes, cleansing, laundry, or building maintenance.
So we need to get a hot water.
well,
You can get one of those, you can get the little.
There's a little tiny one over the end.
I guess aren't you supposed to wash your hands with hot, warm water?
Yeah.
well, I
So-
don't know. Actually, DOT doesn't provide that in the public, the roadside facilities. But I think, I mean, we've been saying that we have the codes that we're subject to right now. So the question is, are we going to continue to use those codes, or are we gonna change to the International Plumbing Code, or can we?
Well, this is in the Florida Building Code, which we,
I think that's
Yeah,
what
it's
we're
the-
just kind of
just
doing
what
here,
we
is
do
the
here.
Florida
Right.
building code, and seeing how
That's
it reads in the Florida building code. Did you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Let's move on. Commissioner Banks, you good? Yep.
mechanical and electrical requirements, general. The provisions of this chapter shall govern the minimum mechanical and electrical facilities and equipment to be provided. Responsibility, the owner of the structure shall provide and maintain mechanical and electrical facilities and equipment in compliance with these requirements. The person shall not occupy as owner occupant or permit another person to occupy any premises that does not comply with the requirements of this chapter. Heating facilities. Facilities required. Heating facilities shall be provided in structures as required by this section. Residential occupancies. Dwellings shall be provided with heating facilities capable of maintaining a room temperature of 68 degrees in all habitable rooms, bathrooms, and toilet rooms based on the winter outdoor design temperature, the locality indicated in Appendix D of the International Plumbing Code. Cooking appliances shall not be used, nor shall portable unvented fuel-burning space heaters be used as a means to provide required heating. The installation of one or more portable space heaters shall not be used to achieve compliance with this section. The exception is in areas where the average monthly temperature is above 30 degrees Fahrenheit. A minimum temperature of 65 degrees shall be maintained. I don't know what Appendix D of the International Plumbing Code
We'll
says.
have to look into that.
Does this mean I can't use my stove to heat up the house?
Yes. Heat supply. Every owner and operator of any building who rents, leases, or lets or more dwelling units or sleeping units on terms, either expressed or implied, to furnish heat to the occupants thereof shall supply heat during the period from this one date to another to maintain a minimum temperature of 68 degrees in all habitable rooms, bathrooms, and toilet rooms. You want to say like from January to February? You could say January 15th to February 15th.
I don't think it's necessary to say dates, and what is, are there any state requirements on this? This is talking about rentals.
I'm sure that they have something, that there's some standards that have to be met.
Of course, this could be a single-family rental, but, to me, I don't see it's necessary to supply dates. We don't know when it's gonna be cold or hot.
You can do a temperature too. You could say the temperature that, when a temperature is below a certain, for me, it's really below 70, but anybody else, it would be below, freezing, but, we could do that instead.
A rental home is required to have working plumbing, hot water, and heating,
by,
Florida law.
by Florida law. Yeah, I'm just,
Doesn't have a date though, does it?
No.
I don't think it really needs dates.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna reword that. Exceptions, when the outdoor temperature is below the winter or outdoor design temperature for the locality, maintenance of the minimum room temperature shall not be required, provided that the heating system is operating at its full design capacity. The winter outdoor design temperature for the locality shall be as indicated in Appendix D of the International Code.
Oh, that doesn't apply to us, does it? I mean, we don't get the polar vortex, right?
Depends on,
Hopefully.
Okay.
How do we just cut all of this out and just say that dwelling should
yes,
be according to Florida law?
yeah,
Yeah.
Because that, I think that's
Sounds
good.
in compliance with Florida law, yeah.
And just stop it at 60.
Which one? 602 point.
Where did it say something about the temperature of 60? I guess
That's
it's
heat supply, 0.3.
Oh, yeah, 0.3 through heat supply.
Shall be in compliance with Florida law.
Florida statute, then we can just get the statute and put it in there, then we don't have to.
Okay.
And we may, I'm assuming that a lot of this stuff is already, like the water system, I'm
Yeah.
almost positive you have to be hooked up to city sewer, like all that stuff. I think we may be able to go back and cut a bunch of this out and just say according to Florida, so it's not so
And put it, yeah,
voluminous.
Well, I think part of what this does is it takes all these different things, pulls them into
So,
one.
yeah, so that, and then they would know, so I guess we could, I just think with that heating, we might be getting a little too.
Occupiable workspaces, indoor occupiable workspaces shall be supplied with heat during the period from date to date to maintain a minimum temperature of 65 degrees during the period such spaces are occupied. Exceptions, processing, storage, and operation areas that require cooling or special temperature conditions, areas in which persons are preliminarily engaged in vigorous physical activity.
no, and your garages, I mean, when you think about when you pull into one of those places that you get your, the indoor is, but not the outdoor where they're still working, but it's in the garage area to get your oil changed, so,
I
I
don't
think
know.
this is for people that work for somebody who won't heat the building.
yeah.
It gives them some recourse. Room temperature measurement. Required room temperature shall be measured 3 feet above the floor near the center of the room and 2 feet inward from the center of each exterior wall. Mechanical equipment. Mechanical equipment appliances. Mechanical equipment, appliances, fireplaces, solid fuel burning appliances, cooking appliances, and water heating appliances shall be properly installed and maintained in a safe working condition and shall be capable of performing the intended function. Removable combustion products. Fuel burning equipment and appliances shall be connected to an improved chimney or vent. Exception, fuel burning equipment and appliances that are labeled for unvented operation. Clearances. Required clearances to combustible materials shall be maintained. Safety controls. Safety controls for fuel burning equipment shall be maintained in effective operation. Combustion air. A supply of air for complete combustion of the fuel for ventilation of the space containing the fuel burning equipment shall be provided for the fuel burning equipment. Energy conservation devices. Devices intended to reduce fuel consumption by attachment to a fuel burning appliance, to the fuel supply line thereto, or to the vent outlet or vent piping therefrom, shall not be installed unless labeled for such purpose and the installation is specifically approved.
Okay, do we have any questions on this before we move on to electrical facility? Okay,
Facilities required. Every occupied building shall be provided with an electrical system in compliance with the requirements of this section and section 605. Service. The size and usage of appliances and equipment shall serve as a basis for determining the need for additional facilities in accordance with NFPA 70. Dwelling units shall be served by a 3-wire, 120/240 volt, single-phase electrical service having a minimum rating of 60 amperes. Electrical system hazards. Where it is found that the electrical system in a structure constitutes a hazard to the occupants or the structure by reason of inadequate service, improper fusing, insufficient receptacle and lighting outlets, improper wiring or installation, deterioration or damage, or similar reasons, the code official shall require the defects to be corrected to eliminate the hazard. Abatement of electrical hazards associated with water exposure. The provisions of this section shall govern the repair and replacement of electrical systems and equipment that have been exposed to water. Electrical equipment, electrical distribution equipment, motor circuits, power equipment, transformers, wire, cable, flexible cords, wiring devices, ground fault circuit interrupters, surge protectors, molded case circuit breakers, low voltage fuses, luminaires, ballasts, motors, and electronic control, signaling, and communication equipment that have been exposed to water shall be replaced in accordance with the provisions of the International Building Code. Exception, the following equipment shall be allowed to be repaired where an inspection report from the equipment manufacturer or approved manufacturer's representative indicates that the equipment has not sustained damage that requires replacement. Enclosed switches rated not more than 600 volts or less. Busway rated not more than 600 volts. Panel boards rated not more than 600 volts. Switchboards rated not more than 600 volts. Fire pump controllers not rated more than 600, rated not more than 600 volts. Manual and magnetic motor controllers, motor control centers, alternate current high voltage circuit breakers, low voltage power circuit breakers, protective relays, meters, and current transformers, low and medium voltage switchgear, liquid filled transformers, cast resin transformers, wire or cable that is suitable for wet locations and whose ends have not been exposed to water, wire or cable not containing fillers that is suitable for wet locations and whose ends have not been exposed to water, luminaires that are listed as submersible, motors, electronic control, signaling, and communication equipment. Abatement of electrical hazards associated with fire exposure. The provisions of this section shall govern the repair and replacement of electrical systems and equipment that have been exposed to fire. Electrical equipment, electrical switches, receptacles, and fixtures, including furnace, water heating, security system, and power distribution circuits that have been exposed to fire shall be replaced in accordance with provisions of the International Building Code. Exception, electrical switches, receptacles, and fixtures that shall be allowed to be repaired where an inspection report from the equipment manufacturer or approved manufacturer's representative indicates that the equipment does not sustain damage that requires replacement.
We're gonna stop there. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I guess my only question is, other jurisdictions in Florida, you know, this keeps saying the International Building Code, we don't really know what we're doing here. Like, what does Winter Park do?
Most states throughout the United States, most cities go by the International Building Code. They use it all over America. Okay, it's a standard that's used in the business of doing all of this work that's in this thing so that every standard is the same no matter where you live. That's the way it is, okay? Now, we may have a few exceptions, especially down here with hurricanes, with the different windows that we have to do, all the different things like that. But the basis for this is the same throughout the United States. It's a building code used for everyone, everywhere. That's all that means, okay? So, yeah, if you want to put Florida building code, that's fine.
No, I don't know, I'm saying, I
The
don't feel
Florida
like,
building code in some cases
Yeah, it's
could be more
different.
stringent. It could be a more stringent.
Especially with
yes,
hurricanes, it's just
especially
like
with
up north.
hurricanes.
We build with 2x6s, not 2x4s because of
Yes.
the weight of the snow. I mean, so there's different things for different places, but the basic is this code right here. So, yes.
Okay. Electrical equipment, installation, electrical equipment, wiring, and appliances shall be properly installed and maintained in a safe and approved manner. Receptacles, every habitable space in the dwelling shall contain not less than 2 separate and remote receptacle outlets. Every laundry area shall contain not less than 1 grounding type receptacle or receptacle with a ground fault circuit interrupter. Every bathroom shall contain not less than 1 receptacle. Any new bathroom receptacle outlet shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection. All receptacle outlets shall have the appropriate faceplate cover for the location. Luminaires, every public hall, interior stairway, toilet room, kitchen, bathroom, laundry room, boiler room, and furnace room shall contain not less than 1 electric luminaire. Pool and spa luminaires over 15 volts shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection. Wiring, flexible cords shall not be used for permanent wiring or for running through doors, windows, or cabinets, or concealed within walls, floors, or ceilings. Elevators, escalators, and dumbwaiters.
Have you ever met a dumbwaiter?
You know,
Do we have an
No,
elevator in
we
town?
don't have an elevator in town unless somebody has one. They have the portable ones, like the
In their
First
home.
Baptist has that, you know, the one, the stair one that goes up the stairs.
There's not one in Crescent?
Is it, they might have one. Do they have one in the nursing home? I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah,
Do
they
we
got
have
one
any
in the
in the
nursing
home.
nursing
Oh, I'm sure they
home
have
elevators?
I would see where they would have.
But I think that's the only place that has an elevator.
They go to the second floor.
Yeah.
Elevators, dumbwaiters, and escalators shall be maintained in compliance with ASME A17.1. The most current certificate of inspection shall be on display at all times within the elevator or attached to the escalator or dumbwaiter, be available for public inspection in the office of the building operator, or be posted in a publicly conspicuous location approved by the code official. The inspection and tests shall be performed at not less than the periodic intervals listed in ASME A17.1 Appendix N, except where otherwise specified by the authority having jurisdiction. Elevators. In buildings equipped with the passenger elevators, not less than one elevator shall be maintained in operation at all times when the building is occupied. Exception, buildings equipped with only one elevator shall be permitted to have the elevator temporarily out of service for testing or servicing. Duct systems, general duct systems shall be maintained free from obstructions and shall be capable of performing the required function.
Okay. Do you have any questions? No. Anybody else?
We're near the end. Fire safety requirements. General, the provisions of this chapter shall govern the minimum conditions and standards for fire safety related to structures and exterior premises, including fire safety facilities and equipment to be provided. Responsibility, owner of the premises shall provide and maintain such fire safety facilities and equipment in compliance with these requirements. The person shall not occupy as owner occupant or permit another person to occupy any premises that do not comply with the requirements of this chapter. Means of egress, general, a safe, continuous, and unobstructed path of travel shall be provided from any point in the building or structure to the public way. Means of egress shall comply with the International Fire Code. Aisles, the required width of aisles in accordance with the International Fire Code shall be unobstructed. Locked doors, means of egress doors shall be readily openable from the side from which egress is to be made without the need for keys, special knowledge, or effort, except where the door hardware conforms to that permitted by the International Building Code. And emergency escape and rescue openings. Required emergency escape and rescue openings shall be maintained in accordance with the code in effect at the time of construction in both of the following. 1. Required emergency escape and rescue openings shall be operational from the inside of the room without the use of keys or tools. 2. Bars, grills, grates, or similar devices are permitted to be placed over emergency escape or rescue openings, provided that the minimum net clear opening size complies with the code that was in effect at the time of construction, and the unit is equipped with smoke alarms installed in accordance with section 904.2.10 of the International Building Code. Such devices shall be releasable or removable from the inside without use of a key, tool, or force greater than that which is required for normal operation of the escape and rescue opening. Fire resistance ratings. Fire resistance rating assemblies. Provisions of this chapter shall govern maintenance of the materials, systems, and assemblies used for structural fire resistance and fire resistance rated construction separation of adjacent spaces to safeguard against the spread of fire and smoke within a building and the spread of fire to or from buildings. Unsafe conditions. Where any components are not maintained and do not function as intended or do not have the fire resistance required by the code under which the building was constructed or altered, such components or portions thereof shall be deemed unsafe conditions in accordance with section 114.1.1 of the International Fire Code. Components or portions thereof determined to be unsafe shall be repaired or replaced to conform to that code under which the building was constructed or altered. Where the condition of components is such that any building, structure, or portion thereof presents an imminent danger to the occupants of the building, structure, or portion thereof, the fire code official shall act in accordance with section 114.2 of the International Fire Code. Maintenance. The required fire resistant rating of the fire resistant rated construction, including walls, fire stops, shaft enclosures, partitions, smoke barriers, floors, fire resistant coatings, and sprayed fire resistant materials applied to structural members and joint systems shall be maintained. Such elements shall be visually inspected annually by the owner and repaired, restored, or replaced where damaged, altered, breached, or penetrated. Records of inspections and repairs shall be maintained. Where concealed, such elements shall not be required to be visually inspected by the owner unless the concealed space is accessible by the removal or movement of a panel, access door, ceiling tile, or entry to the space. Openings made therein for the passage of pipes, electrical conduit, wires, ducts, air transfer, and any other reason shall be protected with approved methods capable of resisting the passage of smoke, fire, and fire. Openings through fire-resistant rated assemblies shall be protected by self or automatic closing doors or approved construction meeting the fire protection requirements for the assembly. Fire blocking and draft stopping. Required fire blocking and draft stopping in combustible concealed spaces shall be maintained to provide continuity and integrity of the construction. Smoke barriers and smoke partitions. Required smoke barriers and smoke partitions shall be maintained to prevent the passage of smoke. Opening protected with approved smoke barrier doors or smoke dampers shall be maintained in accordance with NFPA Model 5. Firewalls, fire barriers, and fire partitions. Required firewalls, fire barriers, and fire partitions shall be maintained to prevent the passage of fire. Openings protected with approved doors or fire dampers shall be maintained in accordance with NFPA 80. Opening protectives. Opening protectives shall be maintained in an operative condition in accordance with NFPA 80. The application of field-applied labels associated with the maintenance of opening protectives shall follow the requirements of the approved third-party certification organization accredited for listing the opening protective. Fire doors and smoke barrier doors shall not be locked or obstructed or otherwise made inoperable. Fusible links shall be replaced whenever fused or damaged. Fire door assemblies shall not be modified. Signs. Where required by the code official, a sign shall be permanently displayed on or near each fire door in letters not less than 1 inch high to read as follows. Fire doors designed to be kept normally open. Fire door do not block. Fire doors designed to be kept normally closed. Fire door keep closed. Hold open devices and closers. Hold open devices and automatic door closers shall be maintained. During the period that such a device is out of service for repairs, the door that operates shall remain in the closed position. Door operation. Swinging fire doors shall close from the full open position and latch automatically. The door closer shall exert enough force to close and latch the door from any partially open position. Ceilings. The hanging and displaying of sellable goods or other decorative materials from acoustical ceiling systems that are part of a fire-resistant rated horizontal assembly shall be prohibited. Testing. Horizontal and vertical sliding and rolling fire doors shall be inspected and tested annually to confirm operation full closure. Records of inspections and testing shall be maintained. Vertical shafts. Interior vertical shafts, including stairways, elevator hoistways, and service and utility shafts, which connect 2 or more stories of a building, shall be enclosed and protected as required in Chapter 11 of the International Fire Code. New floor openings in existing buildings shall comply with the International Building Code. Opening protected closers. Where openings are required to be protected, opening protectives shall be maintained self-closing or automatic closing by smoke detection. Existing fusible link type automatic door closing devices shall be replaced if the fusible link rating exceeds 135 degrees Fahrenheit.
Do we have any questions? I would like to ask Chief to just read over this and see if anything.
I think he's gonna understand this a whole lot better.
I think he's gonna, yeah, I think he,
There's an awful lot
I
of
think he
stuff going on
will,
here.
so.
Yeah,
Does anybody else have any other questions on this?
so, yeah, if you have.
I think
people
the chief
that-
would be the
Yeah.
appropriate one to.
Yeah,
Well, again, my
On
question
the fire
is,
marshal?
just, there's a Florida fire code that's apparently adopted every 3 years. So my question to Bobby is, what is the applicable standard that we should be citing?
well, let him determine that for us. I mean, he's the expert.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
Yeah, so let him go ahead and do that.
well, the
You're
chief,
talking about the chief, right?
your chief's talking about
No,
Bobby,
I'm
you're talking
talking
about the chief.
I'm talking about Bobby, what should we cite in here?
I mean, probably the Florida Fire Prevention Code
Yeah.
looks like
But I really,
but it looks like it incorporates the National
Yeah.
Fire Protection Association.
Right, I
it's all
saw that.
underneath here.
Yeah, I think rather than read the rest of this chapter.
Yeah, it gets very technical and,
Yeah.
and the
Let
chief
review it,
will understand.
Make comments.
And a lot of this too, that the building inspector, you know, with the, it's gonna, the sprinklers, all of that, they're gonna require that.
Yeah, so if he could go through that, that'd be great.
And they'll come in, now, in that case, they will constantly, like your salons, your restaurants, they come in and they
Right.
check
Check all
that
that,
and
yes.
make sure that, you know, everything's in good working order. Okay?
Do we want to, appendix A is boarding standard?
Yeah, I just noticed that, I had overlooked it. This is supposedly, I don't know, this is a very technical, specification of how you board up a window. I mean,
About this appendix, appendix A provides minimum specifications for boarding the structure. This can be utilized by a jurisdiction as a set of minimum requirements in order to result in consistent boarding quality. These requirements also provide a reasonable means to eliminate having to approve numerous methods or materials for the boarding and securing of the structure. It is important to note that the provisions of Appendix A are not mandatory unless specifically referenced in the adopting ordinance of the authority having jurisdiction. So if you don't want to get into how they board the window, we could not adopt Appendix A.
It's interesting, shall be painted to correspond to the color of the existing structure.
right.
That could be hard to do.
Well, other than just having plywood up there, you need to, it needs to be color,
But, Mayor, I thought, actually, we've done that on a couple of windows, where it's not really feasible to replace an old window.
right, I mean, I know.
But I'm just saying that you went right to something that I saw. If you're gonna have a permanently boarded window, it would make sense to at least have it blend. Because we have a lot of permanent boarded windows, and they look bad, that's for sure. I don't know that we need to go into all this detail.
That's gonna
Well,
be
you know
it.
what, you know, to me, this is just standard, this is a standard building
Yeah.
material. If you're gonna board something up, this is the way you should do it. You know, I guess if you're gonna, I don't know, maybe people just go and they take whatever's in their backyard and throw a
During-
couple nails in it,
I
but
noticed-
this is really the way to do it.
I noticed during this, when people, during this last hurricane, that some very interesting,
Yeah.
things were used to cover windows.
There's a house permanently boarded over here,
Right.
that's just an odd shaped, doesn't fit the window, and it's got
No,
a point.
Yeah.
Right.
Part of it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, if you're gonna board something up, you wanna do it so that it's efficient, you wanna do it so it's not falling down in 2 days.
I think we need to have certain
Yeah.
standards. I don't know that this is a little far reaching, but we do need to have standards that if you're gonna if you are gonna board up a window.
Well, my problem is how long?
Well, that's another question.
For real.
Isn't that another meeting?
Well-
Yeah, we can board it up forever.
Right, but I think while we're on the subject of boarding, it seems to me you've got two kinds of boarding. You've got your emergency and storm.
Right,
And of course, during a storm, if you can't get plywood, you use what you got.
right.
Then there's the temporary, like the mayor said, if your window is broken for some reason. But then there's those windows that are permanently boarded. And to me, those are our greatest appearance issue. And like Commissioner Burton said, there's a standard. If you're gonna board it up, it should at least keep out the critters
It
and
says that.
the weather.
And so I think
And this
this
is what this
installation,
says.
the boarding sheet material shall be cut to fit the window
Oh,
or
yeah.
Well, this is-
neatly and shall be cut to provide an equal overlap at the perimeter of the door.
This is
So,
the opportunity, I think, we do have some permanently boarded structures.
yeah.
If we don't want that, because the building code just says the building has to be secure. So all they do is put boards on there and it meet the code.
Right.
If then our maintenance code says you can have it boarded up for only so many months, then you gotta do something about the
You gotta do
problem.
something about it.
I think this is our opportunity.
Yeah.
To do it.
Right, but just to me, if someone has a structure and there's I don't know, I don't have a problem with people permanently boarding, back or side windows, because for some of these old houses, it's very difficult to retrofit your windows, or for,
Well, it's not hard to retrofit a piece of plywood that's half-inch thick with a saw.
No,
Okay,
no.
You can retrofit it and board up a window, then
No,
inside
the-
the window.
the boarding
I think
should be
she's
nice.
saying that in the back of the house, you might not be able to get a window,
Or-
is that what you're saying, or?
To permanently
To permanent,
paint it
yeah.
and make it no longer
Right,
a window.
exactly, but then it should look nice. If they're gonna permanently board it up, it should not be, you know, that helter-skelter,
There's a house that's lived in over near Harry Banks Park that's
Yep,
almost completely boarded up.
and that's
Yep, sure
another
is.
issue.
Mhm.
And not well
It's
done.
completely boarded up and it's occupied.
Yeah,
yeah,
Right, and then that, again, is somewhat of a safety issue
Yes,
because
it is,
they can't get out.
because they're not following any of what we just talked about through this whole thing,
You know.
without having, you know, windows and ventilation and all
Right,
those kinds of things, so you can get after that, Dan.
But the sad part is, and I hate to say this, it may be an issue, someone may feel that that is safer. I mean, I hate to say that, but it might be someone who is just afraid of crime, or they feel that that's the best way to protect themselves.
Or they don't want you to know what's going on in there.
Or, well, that's another one, saying there could be a lot of
yeah,
reasons.
so I think we do need to have some standards for that.
do you wanna go through this, just one page? Now?
No,
Boarding standard? No?
I think we should
No,
let
I
somebody
think
tell us
it's
what's
pretty self-explanatory.
good boarding.
Yeah,
Appendix B is about a board of appeals. Appendix B provides criteria for board of appeals members. We don't have a board of appeals.
Well,
Um,
but we have a code.
we have our code.
I-
Could be our code board.
I made my note on here, it says, no, we have an appeal process. I mean, we have our whole code system,
Yeah.
which we've referred to, and it's complete.
So I think that's it.
Appeal.
We'll revise this. We gotta figure out how we can get a editable copy.
Um,
And then bring it back to you revised. Got a little bit of research to do.
You can't just go back in.
We have a reader, Adobe Reader, see if it works. Not if it takes all the formatting out, you've got to figure out what the paragraphs were.
That's
But
the
you
job.
can't just scan it.
John, I'm telling you, I did that with
If it'll work in Adobe, we have Adobe Pro, it turns it into
the
a,
county, and it was just like, well, I was gonna run my computer with a computer.
I had two things I wanted to bring up that relate to this before we go, if I could.
Okay.
Okay, so, to me, I think we had talked about earlier that we're wanting to focus more on the non-homestead houses. It occurs to me we might want to have some kind of implementation schedule and grandfather schedule, that at some point we need to think about that. Because this is a very complete code, and I think there would be quite a few violations. And as well, it seemed to me for houses that are in really bad repair, I don't know if we need to address this in our code or if it could be up to the code board, but maybe we need to provide for some kind of schedule of repairs for houses that have a number of areas of non-compliance. I mean, there are houses that are not painted. You know, there's just gonna be a lot of houses that are not in compliance.
And how much time we're gonna give them to come into compliance. Like, I spoke to to the SHIP program right now. So they'll take applications, but they have a waiting list and everything.
They won't cover
Yeah.
this
No,
at all.
but some of these issues they will for some of those
Sure.
homes that they cannot afford.
Right.
Unfortunately, the SHIP, because of the housing, because of the wait list that they have right now, the wait list is always first.
Right. Well, I guess what I was gonna say is the SHIP program would cover some people in the future, but it's not going to address the number of needs we're gonna have for for sure.
No, but there's a lot of people that right now might not be able to meet those minimum maintenance standards that we're requiring,
Right.
that fall into that category that they could apply to SHIP for some help.
I think what we'll do is, unlike we did when we revised the trailer parking, we just warn, the first thing that goes out is a warning, just let, you know, be advised that you are now, in this case, we'd say we have a new code, you're not in compliance, your gutters are hanging, or whatever the issue may be. And then they can respond, and then if they don't come into compliance, what do we give them with a warning letter? We usually give them
2 weeks,
2 weeks.
I usually send 2.
And then they get another letter, and then before we finally cite them, and then they have, how long after you're cited? Is it 30 days or 90 days or?
Okay, being realistic, there's some people that are gonna need a year or two and come up with some kind of a plan.
Well, once we bring them into the process, we can work out that plan
Yeah.
with the code board. The code board can say, okay, let's set up a schedule. You've got a lot of issues, these are the most important, and then work that out once they've.
Give them some options.
Yeah, the first step is to let them know, hey, we have a code, you're in violation of these items. Please, you know, reach out to us, and we'll work out a schedule for compliance, and then we can bring them into the code board.
I'm just saying, there's gonna be quite a few structures, and then, so somehow we have to accommodate people. Then the other thing is, I sent this, had power problems last week, so I'm sorry, I'm very behind. Palm Coast has a code of ordinances that I think, has a provision about residential rental property requiring registration, particularly for absentee owners. And I think it dovetails with minimum maintenance standards, because it, and I sent this to the city manager and the clerk, and I said, please share it with everyone.
I forwarded it out to everybody.
Okay, it was this afternoon, it's not enough time. But it's a mechanism by which absentee landlords can be required to let you know who they are, to have a local agent, and basically they have to agree that they are aware of the maintenance standards. And then there's another provision that follows that, that I think might be really helpful for us. And it has to, I think it probably came about during the economic downturn back in '08, where a lot of cities had problems with people walking away from their mortgages and, you know, abandoned rental houses. It has a provision on specifically how to deal with abandoned, real, and personal property. And it seems very complete, it might help us.
Okay, I scrolled it, but I didn't read it. No.
Yeah, it's, so anyway, I just shared that, because that might help us basically with enforcement. So, anyway.
I think I neglected this to notify the commission, we had extended the state of emergency,
We did on Monday.
just to make sure we get reimbursed for anything FEMA might reimburse us.
Our docks,
We
we
added
still
another 7
don't,
days.
yeah, we still don't know what our docks, what the condition of our docks are gonna be.
Well, you know, once the water is in.
Once the water goes down, we'll be able to get out there and
That's
inspect.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's probably
I
some
just-
stuff out
You
there.
can't see a thing on Lake Crescent.
Like, you can see the boards doing this and the way
Yeah.
See, I'm doing that, yeah, and we did lock it down, well, y'all, you told them that, it's locked down for right now, so there's no way.
The Lake Crescent dock
Yeah,
is locked.
everything's locked and closed over there, and we reopened Lake Stella facilities.
No.
But is FEMA going to reimburse the people if they get somebody to have documentation?
There is a program for people's homes.
Yeah.
We pump that out on our Facebook. There's another program for businesses, and I imagine we'll have our own method for cities to bring that.
Because I see some people with great piles, a whole lot of, you know.
Oh, the garbage, yeah.
Now, the monkey is picking somewhere else on Prospect. I seen them picking up some of it.
Well, we've been picking up since last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We picked up Friday, Saturday, some on Monday. Waste Pro's there today, and we've allowed them, they have to dump in Boston. So they'd be gone for almost 3 hours to unload and come back. So we let them dump out at our pile so they can get back out there. So they're picking up today, and we'll be back out there until all the piles are gone.
Yeah.
We're just gonna We had the mowing continue, and I have another crew that's just picking up garbage.
Mayor, I have a question
Not
about.
garbage, but debris.
Okay.
Sorry, about the debris pickup.
Yeah.
So is FEMA going to pay us for any of that, or is that all on us?
Any overtime in that, right, Charles, if we have any expenses, we are keeping up with all of our expenses.
We're coding all of our expenses, our overtime.
Okay, so we can get help with that. Okay.
We hope we can submit it to the county, and then the county will put it, they'll compile it, and they'll put it with their FEMA package, with their FEMA package. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So how long is our state of emergency?
Another 7 days, so it will be
10.
through next Monday. Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's 10.
I'm glad to hear that.
And then, and that's something too, that if your neighbors and all, that, you know, Charles tried to get, he tried to hit all the main arteries with the crew, Friday especially, and then we tried to get all the, you know, the heavy things that we know, but Waste Pro typically doesn't do storm
Right.
removal, it's
Yeah,
FEMA.
that's
But
what I'm saying.
right now FEMA's not coming in to do that, and,
FEMA, I think, has their hands full.
they have their hands full, and they're not coming in to do that, so Daniel has said they'll do all that they can possibly do, but, you know,
We'll keep at it.
Charles assured that they'll keep at it, so just if your residents say anything to you, just tell them that, you know,
Take time.
and as soon as Charles got one road clean, he'd drive back down it, and there'd be more stuff out there.
I get it, right, yeah.
I mean, I had my yard cleaned today, I made a big pile again, because we had a big, huge, branch down.
Before I forget, I thought it got taken away, but it didn't, on Lemon Avenue near Mathis Park. There is a big pile of debris, and it's got a huge pine limb or something. It's been sitting there for quite a few days.
It's in front of, Steve's house, I think, right there on Lemon, just past Mathis Park, or this side of Mathis
No,
Park.
it's this side of Mathis
Okay.
Park. It's near where Chuck and Brenda Berger used to live.
Yeah, I
It's
see.
right before you get to the park,
Okay.
and it's actually in the street.
Yeah, I went
I don't
by.
know.
Somebody dragged it out of the way. It was actually across the road.
Yeah.
The storms.
Right,
Yeah,
so
I just haven't got over there yet.
That's a pretty big branch. I think it would need the front end loader.
Good chainsaw.
Bunch of stuff, sorry, I meant to, right, it needs something.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna adjourn the workshop. Thank you all for being here.
Good to
Thank
see
you.